All right, so tonight's parent and in-laws, and we thought we'd kind of start sharing our story about our in-laws, but I just wanted to say that if you guys don't think that God has a sense of humor, I believe He does, because we were preparing to do the parent-in-law talk this week, and we get a phone call, what was it?
Monday night.
Monday night, and it was from my mother-in-law saying that she would come Tuesday and stay with us for the week. So I smiled on the phone and was great, that's awesome. And inside I was like, okay, do we really need more info to talk about on Friday night? Because it was an interesting week.
You're getting prepared to try to, give some thoughts to help with dealing with these kind of situations, and then suddenly you have to put it to work.
Yeah. So. I had to practice, but I think we did pretty good, actually.
I had to practice, too.
He had to practice last night. Last night, he came and she was still there, and was like...
I didn't expect her to be there.
He was cranky. So, she's a really lovely lady, but there's some issues. So,
that's where
we're going to start. Go for it. Mine's longer than his.
You want me to talk about your folks?
No, let's just talk about our story. Well, we talked about how we met... He has no clue. See, we didn't practice this week either, you can tell. We met when we were 13, and we our parents, when we were at that age, we all went to the same church.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the start of our story, and that's why there's issues now, I guess.
Yeah, it plays into it in large part.
You want to tell about the church?
The church, I guess a little background is that they're a church that feels like they take the Bible literally. And in doing so, there's a few things, and some of you may have even heard of this church because there's two of them in this valley, General Assembly and Church of the Firstborn. In doing so, a big thing is that they believe that having faith in God is that they don't doctor. One of the things that really gets stuck in a lot of people is literally, I did not go to a doctor until I was 17 years old, 18, somewhere right in there, and that was the first time I had ever been in a doctor's office at all. And that's a big issue with them.
The other thing is they don't cut their hair.
They believe it's a sin for a woman to cut her hair. There's a lot very worksman-oriented type of church, and that's what we were brought up in. That's how we were raised. And also in that kind of a church, another thing that happens is that it stays very close-knit. It's very family-oriented. They're very friendly with each other. But you have this little bitty circle that when you step outside of, you are alone. You're not just stepping away from your mom and dad or your siblings. Everybody you know. I mean, I didn't have friends from school to come over and spend the night. I just had church friends. That was all that I had in my life. And so you get very alienated very quickly when you go a different direction. Which is what happened.
With my parents, they started kind of thinking maybe that wasn't the right place to be when Justin and I were dating. So they stopped going to church there, and then we did too. And it was all about the time we talked about, the last time we talked about how we lost our first baby, and it was all about that time when things started happening. So now what we have is my family that they go to church here with us, and then we have Justin's family who still goes to Church of the Firstborn. And the real issues start because once you leave Church of the Firstborn, you're no longer accepted. You're basically rejected. So
let me step in with something there. I know this is all exciting for you guys, but my folks, with Kim saying we're rejected, they love us dearly, and they really, in their deep depths of their heart, they are sad for us. They think that we're going the wrong direction, to put it very nicely, but and it breaks their heart. They aren't rude to us on purpose necessarily sometimes. Anyway, but they really care for us. So go ahead.
So when we are with Justin's family, there's just that there. It's not really brought up, but
Is that the elephant in the corner?
It's just there. And so...
which reminds me of, what was Mom's first words to you when she showed up Tuesday night, when you answered the door?
Yeah, she shows up, I open the door, and she goes, "You cut your hair." And that was her greeting. Okay, so that's kind of what we have to do. And then later on in the day, we were driving to get my son, and my daughter asks for some little hand sanitizer, which happened to be right by the Tylenol that I keep in the truck. So Grandma had to reach past that. And it's just little things like that that add up. Or Justin asked his mom what she wanted to drink for dinner, and he was saying, "There's milk, there's orange juice." And then my son goes, "Well, isn't there a couple beers in there too?" Well, that was a big, oh my gosh, just stabbed me in the heart right now. And she's just, it's just little things. So she doesn't say anything, but you know that that's really hurtful stuff. So we don't hide that stuff from her, but we just don't really talk about it. So those are things that we had to deal with this week with Justin's mom being here. So.
And I think that we talked about it when we were up before, about Kim's family. It's on the other side of that is that I was living at their house, basically. I'd go someplace else to sleep, but I was there all the time. And now we have this relationship with them that sometimes is almost, I don't know if it's sharing dirty laundry, but it's as if, because they came out of that same church, they don't have friends any longer. And we are all they have. Mm-hmm. And so they are on, we're connected sometimes.
Well, yeah.
So,
yes. So
and love them to death. They're fantastic. And my folks, I love them too, but
definitely huge dynamic.
But anyway, that's our background with parents and in-laws.
Story. And
we won't even go into siblings.
We could stay here all night talking about that one.
Anyway.
So we're going to start, but we just wanted you to know we'll probably be bringing some of that up. So there can be big differences in perception between the generations. That's kind of how we're going to start. One of the biggest changes over the past 50 years is what is considered to make a successful marriage. So 50 years ago, a marriage tended to involve fulfilling the set roles of man and woman,
I like this
husband
part.
and
Come
wife.
on, get to it.
Today we think more in the quality of the relationship. So I'm going to read over this and just to kind of illustrate how times have changed.
This is, again, a textbook from 1950s.
A home ec book that was intended to help girls prepare for the married life. So I'm going to go over these and see if we fulfill any of these wives. So number 1, have dinner ready. Plan ahead, even the night before, to have a delicious meal on time. Most men are hungry when they come home, and the prospects of a good meal are part of the warm welcome needed.
And I'm going to be having tacos for 2 weeks.
It's planned ahead. Number 2, prepare yourself. Take 15 minutes, ladies, to rest so that you'll be refreshed when he arrives. Touch up your makeup and be fresh looking. He has just been with a lot of work-weary people.
Dirty people.
Yeah, his boring day may need a lift. I don't know about you, but I probably don't look quite refreshed.
I'm pretty sure you'd probably like to have 15 minutes to sit still.
That one sounds good. Number 3, clear away the clutter. Make one last trip through the house just before your husband arrives. Gather up school books, toys, paper, then run a dust cloth over the tables. Your husband will feel he has reached a haven of rest and order. Mm-hmm. Doesn't happen around our house. Number 4, prepare the children. Take a few minutes to wash their hands and faces, comb their hair, and if necessary, change their clothes. Not happening at all. Number 5, minimize all noise. At the time of his arrival, eliminate the noise of the washer, the dryer, and vacuum.
The king has arrived.
Yeah, try to encourage the children to be quiet. Yeah, right. Number 6, make him comfortable. This is his favorite one. Have him lean back in a chair or suggest he lie down in the bedroom. Have a cool or warm drink ready for him. Arrange his pillow.
It gets better.
And offer to take off his shoes.
Yeah.
Speak in low, soft, soothing voices.
All right, we're done. That's what you need to do.
Now, not that we're making fun. Some of these are really nice. I like to have dinner ready when Justin comes home.
I like that too.
But if there's a working wife, maybe it'd be nice for, if the husband's home early, I see some nods out there, to have dinner ready too. So it's just fair to say that times have changed. Okay, whether we like it or not, times have changed. So sometimes the different expectations of different generations will cause tension within the extended family. So we're going to talk, there are two aspects of the wider family that we'll be looking at tonight. They both have really major impacts on our marriage. Number one is the present, what we're living in now. And the second one is the past, what we bring into our marriage from our upbringings, which all of us will. So that's some things we're going to talk about. The first one is the present.
The present. I guess what we're looking at is how can we build the best possible relationship with our parents or our in-laws, if these are all still alive, and a relationship that works for our marriage rather than against our marriage. You pursued your spouse. I bet you probably didn't pursue your in-laws. Just a thought. But the in-laws can be great help. Many of you experience a wonderful relationship with your in-laws. I know I do. But if you're experiencing difficulties, you're definitely not alone. And all these outer families, parents and siblings and stuff, can definitely suffocate a marriage. There's a TV documentary that examined 4 marriages that had broken up through interference from one or both sets of parents. In 3 out of those 4 cases, the parents weren't trying to sabotage the marriage. They were actually trying to help the marriage. But it didn't work that way. And tonight as we go on, we'll address some principles for building good relationships with those extended families. But first, it is important to understand what a healthy family development, particularly the profound changes that should take place in our relationship with our parents or parent, from complete dependence to complete independence. We're going to look at 4 stages. Realizing that family life is rarely, if ever, as neat as the diagrams that are going to be in your handbooks. Okay, yeah. Is what we have here, these 4 diagrams we're going to go through. The first diagram, these don't match.
They don't?
No. All right, you're all looking in your books,
Wait,
right?
no, that first one's right. It is.
Okay.
It's the early years.
All right.
See, he's little.
Okay. Initially, you're right. Initially, we're completely dependent on our parents. We're in the circle with them. And they make all the decisions for us. They set all the boundaries for our protection and our safety. And they provide for our physical and emotional needs. Things like security, affection, comfort, encouragement. We need their unconditional love, and a love that's not dependent on our abilities, our looks, or our behavior. Ideally, they provide a role model of what a good marriage should be. They show interest in each other, they spend time together, they show each other physical attention, they express apologies and forgiveness. And this gives us our foundation of security and the model for our relationships later in life.
Then there's the teenager. So now we're further away, showing our increasing independence. We have independence as a teenager over hairstyle, friends, how we decorate our room. But we still need boundaries like our curfew or to make sure we're going to school, that kind of thing. That's why we're still inside of the circle with our parents. We're just further apart to show our independence. But we still need, as teenagers, the emotional support, especially because of adolescence and the pressures that comes with it. So the dotted line shows us from the teenager to parent, is just to show that by now we should have been considering our parents' needs as well. So they're considering ours. And as a teenager, a lot of times then you'll start noticing that they have needs too. So that's teenager.
New teenagers, do they notice?
You're not on.
Oh. There. You have teenagers out there? Anybody with teenagers? Do they notice your needs?
All right, so then the next one is coming of age, leaving home. This is the age of transition to an adult relationship, usually around 18 to 21. Now we live independently and make our own decisions, so the circle is just around us. We still look at this point to our parents for support, that emotional support. And some parents give this support, but a lot of times, unfortunately, it's with strings attached. So, and we're going to dive deeper into this later, but that will usually lead to emotional manipulation. So, now the next one's getting married. In marriage, we seek to meet each other's emotional needs. So if you'll remember, the first night lesson, Teresa talked about that, about meeting each other's needs, the affection, the comfort, the encouragement, the security. Those needs used to be met by our parents. One of the factors that sociologists have identified as being highly significant to the success of a marriage is whether people have emotionally separated from their parents in a healthy way. Now the independence must be complete, which is why both sets of parents are outside of that circle. As the verse in Genesis 2 says, "For this reason, a man will leave their father and mother and be united to each other."
The need to leave our parents is an essential aspect in marriage. It's easily missed today because in the West, at least, most people are getting married, or who are getting married have already moved out of their parents' home. Yet the significance of leaving is not so much physically leaving your parents' home, it's that psychological and spiritual leaving their home, moving where you aren't dependent on that any longer from them necessarily. And for many years, the home that we were born in was the center of gravity for our entire universe. And then we've been moving in ever-widening circles of exploration and independence, but the center still was that home with our folks. And initially, we'd return to it, and we'd move further away, and we'd return to it, and to get things like advice or money or laundry, and that was the place of authority and where your provisions were met. But after marriage, there's a new center and a new decision-making structure and a new home, and our highest commitment and our loyalty have got to be with each other. We've got to cut those apron strings with mom and dad.
So this doesn't mean cutting ourselves off from our parents completely. It's just that our relationship needs to change to an adult relationship. So with our parents relating to us now as a couple in the relationship, and it's like a mutual friendship and support would be a good way to describe that. So you're to leave them, not forsake them. Don't forego all of their influence. Think of Naomi, the mother-in-law. She had a beautiful relationship with their daughter-in-law, Ruth. Or Jethro, the father-in-law to Moses, who pulled him aside and told him he was working himself to death.
I already mentioned that our notes was that Kim and I's relationship, I was just very, very close with her mom and dad. And Kim has a little sister. And Kim and I got married younger than we are now. They'd kind of raised me. I was like their perfect son-in-law, and this was great.
What?
I was the perfect son-in-law.
Okay. You're close to perfect.
Yeah.